Hello everyone, it's Tonya with Scribbles in Time. I am going to do a quick video today, and yes, I did say quick. I am going to do my best to keep this as quick and to the point as I can. It's been a long time since I've been on to do a video, and normally if you've watched my videos, I tend to ramble. I'm going to try my best to make this very quick. With that being said, I do want to let everyone know that if you will look in the description below, I am going to put timestamps for each of the journals. There are 4, because even though I'm going to make this quick, because there are 4 journals, I am putting links on my Etsy for each journal. And because there's 4, it will take a little bit of time to do a flip through of 4 journals. So I'm putting timestamps below for each of the journals so that you can just click below and go straight to the journal that you're wanting to look at. That way, if anyone is coming over from Etsy and you're specifically wanting to look at one particular journal, just go straight to that journal. That way you're not having to look at all of them. With that being said, there are so many similarities. I know they look totally different, but there are similarities into how, or the usefulness of the journals. In that, if you know anything about me at all, if you've watched previous journals that I've made, I tend to have a purpose-driven theme to my journals, to any journals that I make in a quote-unquote series, and that is no different with this particular one. Although these were not initially started off as concept journals, this journal in particular with this series was created because of a journal I was doing for myself, and I do want to take 1 minute, if I may, and explain that, because I think it's important for anyone looking at this, either for anyone that's wanting to try to create one of these for themselves, or if you're someone that's looking to purchase one of these, because I was making one for myself, or actually for my son. If you know, I accidentally stumbled across junk journals because every year for my son, he asks for some type of journal, either in the form of a letter. He asked for me to record some type of journaling experience or memory or something every year for his birthday, and that's how I accidentally stumbled across junk journaling, in fact, several years ago. And I filmed a video back then about my experience of accidentally stumbling across junk journaling, and I'll post that link below if you haven't seen that before. It was kind of funny, but or for me it was. And so every year I try to do that. Well, this year has been particularly hard for us, and in fact, it's been the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life, and my soul has been hurting. It's been, you know, really searching for a way to deal with healing and grief. And I started off doing a journal for my son for his birthday that's coming up in a few months, and I wanted to really fill up a journal for him, and now I don't even know if I can give it to him, because it's become kind of a very personal project for me in my journey of healing and grief. And grief has been very brutal to me. It's, you know, I've lost probably one of the closest souls for my soul. And anyway, it's been hard, and I'm not doing very well with that. And this journal has helped me a lot, but it's become a very personal project. And in this, I wanted to tell y'all some things that I have learned about not just this particular journal, but in journaling, that has helped me. So I've learned that I really like to journal with pen, with ink, and that makes it hard if you mess up. So I didn't want my journal entries to show, but I have not stitched these in yet, and there's a reason for that. I have been taking these with me because I'm doing a lot of sketching in these, but I have been taking these with me, and I never intended on this turning into a full journal. And I don't want to get too sidetracked here because I really want to make this quick, but I wanted to show you something. I don't want this to show, but I did want to show you what I did. So these are lyrics to a song by Mercy Me, and I won't, show too much because I don't know what I'm allowed to do in respects to copyrights and that kind of thing. But when you mess up, and y'all might already know this, but I did not, but when you mess up and you don't want to use whiteout, and when you're journaling with pen, it kind of gets hard because you don't want to use whiteout. So these things are cheap. These I ordered from like Amazon, and I didn't know how durable these were going to be. And I was already worried about that because this was never intended to be something that I wanted to last forever. But then they became so personal to me. I really wanted these to last a long time. I was starting to do sketching in them that I wanted to, mean something one day. And I just didn't want them to be, something that just lasted a year or something. I wanted them to last. And so it mattered to me. And so I started thinking, gosh, I did this in something that might not last very long. So I started wanting to hinge the pages. And when you hinge pages with fabric, which is what I was doing, I think the fabric lasts a long time, but then you can't really write on fabric and it makes it difficult. So I started hinging with the paper, and with paper you can kind of cover up where you mess up. So like right here, I had messed up in ink, and so I was able just to glue the paper down over the paper and then write over it and correct myself where I had messed up. Plus the paper acted as a hinge, and I'm not thinking that the paper is going to last forever by any means, but I think that the paper buys me time so that one day when this paper starts to tear, over time, it will, but when it does, it buys me enough time to then fix it. I can then add tape over it, because by then I will have already done all my writing in it that I'm going to do, so I can then add tape over it. Does that make sense? It may be something y'all have already figured out. Maybe I'm the only moron that has not figured that out, but I thought I would let you know because I did that in all of these, and that's time consuming. What is that? So yeah, this is another drawing that I've kind of stuck in a pocket, and that's the beauty of these things, guys. I love these little covers because they have pockets everywhere. You can do drawings, go in and add them into your journals, do all of this stuff. I love these. But anyway, so I've added all of that into these for y'all so that it's already good to go. I've hinged all the pages. I've hinged them either with paper so that you can write on the hinges. You can then put tape over them yourself. Or if I use tape, like I used a lot of tape in this one, I used really skinny tape so that you can write around it. Or if it's real fat tape, I tried not to glue it down so that you can peel it away, write under it, and then use paper or whatever. And even on this one, like I put a bunch of tape in here for you, and it peels away because I put it on top of itself so that you can peel it away. See? You can peel it up, use this tape, and then glue it yourself. Like this is all removable. You'll see. I'll do flip throughs with this, so let me stop. Let me get started. I'm getting sidetracked. But see, I put all this tape down in a way to where you can peel this tape away and use it in this journal. And hinge. Go back and hinge your pages if you want to with tape and glue. It'll make sense when I do that flip through. I'll come back to that. Anyway, so I wanted to explain all of that before I start doing the flip throughs. I hope that makes sense. Let's start with the flip throughs. Okay, we're going to start first with the very first journal I started with. The other thing I wanted to say real quick before we start with the flip throughs is that all of these have these elastic bands, and the elastic bands can then be used as bookmarks or can be pulled forward and used on top of the journals as actual covers. So in other words, they can be pulled forward like this and used like covers, like this, or gotten out of the way and done like this, gotten out of the way. What other things did all of these have in common that I needed to say up front, because it's going to be really hard not repeating the same things, and I think that's everything. So what I'm going to try to do at this point, oh, the other thing I wanted to say is all of these are made with passport covers. I'm not trying in any way to say that you cannot do this yourself. You can totally make these yourself. They're passport covers. You can do these with wallets. You can buy notebooks, like leather notebooks. You can make these in any sizes. I'm not ever trying to discourage you from making anything yourself. I made these. I'm going to list these in my Etsy. I highly encourage you to make your own. These are so much fun to make. I put a lot of work into these. I have spent so much time. I've been working on these for a very long time. These have been works in progress for a really long time. I have used a lot of my authentic items that I have been purchasing for a very, very long time that I'm letting go of. You will see that I've used a lot of original, my collections. So, for that reason, I have listed them in my Etsy for sale, but I do not want to in any way discourage you from making them. You can buy a lot of the supplies yourself. A lot of this stuff, you can buy passport covers, the little cheap journal booklets, things like this. You can buy yourself and make this stuff very inexpensive. It's when you want to start investing your time and how much you want to put into it with your time and your supplies. Go for it. Have fun. Just enjoy yourself. But once you create it, fill them up, guys. Fill them up with your life and your memories, and pass this stuff down to your generations. Life is so precious, and please, please, I encourage you, leave your legacy, leave your memories. All right, let's get started. I'm going to pause the video so that I can start piecing together each of the flip throughs. First flip through, I'm calling this one Granddads Journal. I kind of don't know why, but this one reminded me of like a Granddad's Journal. I did this one with 2 of the journal booklets inside of it, and did it with the X stitching as I sewed in the 2 journal books. And doing it that way, I was able to expose the center pen holder that's in the middle of the passport holder booklet right there. And I was able to work in a charcoal pencil. It's very tight in there. It does come in and out. It's just a piece of a charcoal pencil, and I worked that in there. It's one of my favorite charcoal pencils, and I'm trying to remember. I think I've put 2 or either 3 of my charcoal drawings in this one. I do believe we'll come across them. I see one right there. It's a tree. I think there's 3 in this one. There's another one, and then I think I did the birds. I did kind of like I call it the peekaboo, where I burned holes. I'm kind of went with a lot of burning on this. I've been doing a lot of burning. It's kind of an odd thing right now, but this whole year I have done a lot of burning. It's because of the pain I've been going through, and not to be negative, I think in its own way, pain can be beautiful, because I think it allows our soul to grow, and not to get too deep, but that is just part of life. I think that, how does that saying go? No rain, no flowers. And that's the truth with, sometimes it takes bad times to recognize good times, and it takes pain to know, good times and beauty. There's another little sketch I did of some flowers and weeds and nature. Nature is so beautiful to me, even weeds, and I say that all the time. I think sometimes imperfections are the prettiest forms of beauty. But here's the outside of this journal. The journal is stitched all the way around. It comes that way, but I went ahead and did some kind of grungy stitching around the edges of the front. If someone purchases this one, they'll see that it's very grungy. I did that. I try to add grunginess as much as I can, because to me it just adds personality. I didn't really add the grungy stitches on the back. You can do that. I just got my awl and went through and punched holes and added stitches. The front cover is solid on the front. The back inside has pockets, and I put some stuff in the pockets, mainly for going in and hinging on the pages. And then there's a tag there and some more of this mixed media paper. So yeah, on all of the journals, I kind of added mixed media pages on the edges of the paper. I like to do that because to me that's the perfect place where you can go in and kind of add some watercolor on the edges of your paper, just to add a layering effect from the outside of the book. If you go in and add just a touch of watercolor there, it's just cool. In this particular instance, I just added coffee, because for that, to me, that neutral color was the perfect color. Now, on some of the other journals, you know, watercolor would be a perfect color, some brighter coloring. But on this one, I think a neutral coffee tone was perfect. This is a handmade, I made it out of modeling clay, baked it, and made a paper clip out of it. I do have some of these in my Etsy. I don't know if I've listed the paper clips yet. I do have some to list. I can't remember if I've listed them yet. I have so much stuff I'm going to list in Etsy. I apologize for the outside noise. My husband's outside blowing leaves. I'm going to be mentioning that on the different flip throughs. I've been trying to do these flip throughs in stages. This is one of the Pinafore cards. It's the Sailor Men. I personally like the back side in this situation better than the front side showing. A lot of empty pages. To me, this is just the perfect type of journal to fill up with writing. I think it is beautiful for that. The birds are peeking through the peekaboo holes. It leads up to the picture. Hinging. Again, I don't expect the hinging to last forever. I mentioned that earlier in the video if you didn't watch the earlier part. But I expect the hinging will last you long enough, if not long enough for you to fill up the journal, then especially long enough for you to make it through to do your own type of hinging. I made rulers for, I think, 3 of the 4 of these. This is a piece of wooden ruler, and to me they're almost crucial for this size journal, because if you are out and about, you will be amazed at what does not fit in this small of a journal. I have found myself guilty of that. When I'm out and about, I'll come across things that I'll grab thinking I'm going to come home and put it in my little journal. My sister sent me this to go in mine, and it's too big. I mean, I could make it work by tearing it some, but there's nothing I want to lose off of this picture. And so anyway, it's just shocking to me that sometimes little small things that I think are going to fit don't fit. And so anyway, I keep a little small one of these in my box. I just happened to come across one that had my dad's year of birth and his mother, which is my grandmother that lived with me for 15 years. It has her year of birth on it too. My dad's and his mother, my grandmother, it had both of their year of birth on it. So I keep that one with mine. And then I went ahead and tore off the other parts of the ruler and stuck it in with other journals in case anyone was interested. These pieces of metal, I can't remember if they came from, so I went to an estate sale, and the guy had these little bitty pieces of watch gears, not watch gears, clock gears, or not gears, bolts or nuts or something right there. Can you see it? And off of mantle clocks, old mantle clocks. And I got a whole bag of these from him. I'm going to try to put some of those in my Etsy shop too. They're so pretty. They're brass. And I can't remember if this is from mantle clocks. It's so pretty. Can you see the pattern on it? Or if this is lamp metal. I love it. And I tried to put some of this in with all the journals. And on this particular one, I put it on the edge of the paper. The page was so thin that I had to reinforce the back of the paper. So I made this little belly band and put this fabric on there. It's so pretty. And I think this note was really supposed to go in my journal, and I think it somehow got stuck in this one a long time ago. Sorry about that. I'll keep it in here just because it's in here and it's already on camera now. It says, she begged, she pleaded, please, please do not leave me. And in an instant, he was gone. Through her tears and her grief. This is so sad. This is just things that I've been going through. Through her tears and her grief, she could not recognize that she was never alone. But I'm going to stick it back in here because it's already on camera. You can throw that away. It's just part of my journey right now. Part of my emotions. I'm so sorry. It's not really sadness. It is sadness. It's not, it's kind of, I know it sounds sad. It's part of my healing, I guess. There's a tree. This is where the little pieces are hanging from the center of that signature. And then here's a piece of the fabric tape measure. And then this is a vintage, I'm not sure what it is, but I use it as a paper binder. And then this, I believe I got from Kathy at Rust Paper Scissors. I need to check her out. And then the back has a pocket, and I have lined it with fabric. And then there is a glass vial here. And there's gold flakes all in it. There is a, I think those are called laundry keys. A big feather. There's a cross. There's a key there. I believe that is a pocket watch key. And then a tag. And all of this is just kind of hanging from the cord of the tag. Like that. The elastic band here, like I said, it can come around and be used as a closure there on the journal or kept in the back. And then that is it for the flip through of Granddad's Journal. You can let me know if you have any questions. I am going to pause the video so that we can move on to the next one. Okay, so let's go in and talk about Grandma's Journal. So Grandma's Journal is 3 signatures, and I have stitched Grandma's Journal in off-centered, and I wanted to explain that very quickly. So the reason I stitched Grandma's Journal in off-centered, and I've got to try to explain that, the only way I know to explain that is to kind of pull my journal back out very quickly and show you. So the way these covers are done is most of them are done with pockets on one side, and in the center there is like this pen holder. And on this one I wanted the full pen holder exposed so that I could put a paintbrush in. And the only way to do that on this particular cover was to stitch all of the journals over to one side. And I wanted to put 3 of the journals in on this one. So this one has the most writing surfaces in it. And I'm filming this video in stages. I'm actually going through and editing the video. It's late in the evening. I'm losing my lighting, but I'm trying to shorten the length of the video. I'm also going through and editing out a lot of my talking, believe it or not. But I think this one has 190 writing surfaces. And all of these actually, it's hard to describe the number of writing surfaces on these because I add in pages and tuck into the tuck spots and everything. And as I stated earlier in the video, I'm putting timestamps so that people from Etsy can come over if they want to and kind of see a flip through of specific journals, so that they can look through and add a specific journal. So it's hard when I'm going in and doing a flip through of one journal. I might have mentioned details on another flip through, and that also makes this video longer because I'm having to go in on every single flip through and say specific things in case someone's coming over and looking at, you know, a specific flip through. This might be something I'm having to repeat on every single journal. So this one has 3 of these writing journals in it, and because it has 3, it has the most writing surfaces. And this one I actually put 2 of the jasper stones on that, which I absolutely love. I'm a Christian, and I also believe that God gave us this powerful earth. And I do believe that there is so much energy and power in our earth that we fail to appreciate and recognize. And I'm so thankful for our earth. And I do love our earth and our stones. And I just love rocks and stones and everything about our earth. I love trees. I don't know. I'm passionate about nature. And anyway, these are jasper stones, and they are beautiful, and they're I've just put 2 coordinating ones there. I just thought they were so pretty with that natural color, with the spots of the black, speckled spots of the black, that Dalmatian pattern there against this journal. And it is a gray tone, very soft leather. One thing I will say about this leather, it's so soft that it's almost delicate. I don't know any other way to put it, but as I was stitching the holes in, it's almost delicate. I hope my dogs don't start barking. My husband's out trying to blow leaves, and the dogs don't like that. But anyway, it's almost delicate. And I say that because if anyone purchases this journal, if anyone does not, I'll be keeping it, and I'm okay with the delicate nature of the leather, because if it starts to wear away or tear away or anything, I'm all about that. To me, that creates personality. I love it. I'll create band-aids on the leather. I'll make patches on the leather. I'll color over the leather. I'll make personality out of that. No problem whatsoever. But I want to make sure I mention that in case someone purchases it. This seems to be very soft. How do you say that? Subtle? I don't even know how to say the word. It's very soft leather. But on the back, you will see that it is very off-centered. The back leather does not come all the way over. It's because I did not center the journals. And I did that intentionally because I wanted the front to have more leather so that I could put this paintbrush in there. And I then created this very large, it's kind of a cover. I attached it to the elastic band that can then wrap around the front. I did the same thing on all the journals, but in case you're not watching all the flip throughs, that band can then wrap around the journal like that, and creates a cover on the front. You don't have to keep that on the cover. If you're wanting it out of your way, you can just bring it out of the way. You can actually tuck it in kind of halfway through the journal, almost like a bookmark, like that, and let it poke out partially like so. I love that. It kind of can be used like a bookmark, and then it just pokes out kind of halfway, and it's still pretty from all of the different angles. Now, included inside of this journal, I did put a little couple of bags in here with some of these little flowers. They're just like this one. Now, you will have to snip off the little plastic stem thing on the back, and you'll have to do that carefully, because if you snip off too much, that center piece of the flower will come off. But I thought these made beautiful tabs on the edges of the pages, coming down the sides of the pages. Let me move this out of the way. And I put buttons in here, all kinds of blacks and grays and a white button, just to add personality. You can stitch those in on fabric. I put this beautiful fabric in this pocket. Look at that. Love that. I had a really hard time letting go of so many of the items that I used in these journals, but they called out to me to be used, and I have to do that when something's calling out to me. That's part of why I called this Grandma's Journal. This doll and this singer ribbon here, it just had that feel of, I don't know, like a kind of a sewing theme, which I am not good with sewing. I do want to detach this doll because I wanted to show you another little idea I had. I'm not going to take these flowers out, but, well, I do want to kind of take them out because I like to show you my ideas just in case it kind of spurs some kind of creativity or an idea inside you. Now that I'm dropping them, excuse me one moment. But yeah, it could create some kind of idea for you. But you can use these as page tabs going down the sides of the pages. Like I say, you'd have to do a little modifications on these, but they're so pretty. I just think they add this touch of little splash of color. If you close the book, you can kind of get a visual of what I'm referring to. Can you see that on camera? I'm not even sure if you can see it, but it's so pretty to add that little splash of color. But I didn't want to commit to it. I didn't want to do it myself and commit to something in case that's not the look a person's going for. It can always be added, but once it's there, of course it can be taken away by tearing them off. But I just didn't want to commit to that in case it's not the look someone's going for. And then there's buttons. One of these buttons is a, I just spilled them. One of the buttons is a, like a wooden clock style button. Really cool. And I put them inside of a little black bag. The bags can be actually sewn in or just tucked inside of these pockets. But I tucked it back there. Here's a little wooden paintbrush, which I mentioned in the other flip throughs. This is mixed media paper coming down the edges of these pages, which is perfect for painting like watercolor down the edges, so that when the book is closed, it creates just some color and personality down the edges of the pages if you'll go through and add some watercolor down the edges. Each of these bags has like a little tuck spot there, so I have put in some mixed media paper that you can hinge in with some little watercolor or charcoal drawings. I had stamped or embossed some of the stamps onto the pages using these. I talk about that in the other flip throughs. Sorry, my husband is outside blowing leaves, so it's probably getting loud out there. There is a piece of the vintage measuring cloth coming down the center here. So this is where, if I were keeping this journal, I would have left it alone because, again, personality, but it kind of looked like a tear. It's where that pocket lined up between those two journals is where this lined up right through there. So it almost looked like a tear coming down through there. And I didn't want it to look like a tear, so I just put this piece of trim through there so that that would look, you know, intentional. And then I lined that one through there, so that's leather showing through there. This can be used as a bookmark. I did hinge all the pages in this one with tape. I thought that this tape would be small enough you could write around it or gesso over it if you're painting. And then in here there is a kind of a iron black key. If you take this doll off, I had actually put the key here at one point because I was really not wanting to use this doll. Y'all, I love this doll so much. I really had a hard time letting go of this doll. She is beautiful, and I didn't want to permanently attach her. She was just too pretty to permanently attach. Her arms are hinged. Like, look at, I don't even know that they're technically hinged. They're just sewn on to where they're movable. She's so pretty. She has a little petticoat on, or little bloomers, I guess. And so I just ran a rope up through that and tied her on. But if you wanted to take the doll off, you could like put a key there, or you could almost put anything there as a focal point and just take the doll away if you wanted to. I mean, you could almost put like, let me see, you could almost even just put like some kind of a brooch or something there and cut that away altogether. Cut the rope away and just put some kind of a focal point there if you wanted to take the doll off. But I just absolutely love this doll. I really hated letting go of this beautiful doll, but she was just screaming out to be used, and you know, you have to follow your instincts on this stuff, and so that's what I did. And yeah, over here's the single root. Okay, my apologies, but yeah, there's like a vintage pen. These pens, I have a little jar of them, but they have these beads on them. It's hard to use the pens because the beads are on the usable side that you have to slide into something, but they have these little beads. So I used the pen that had the black and the white bead, and they're old. And then I have these paper clips that I got from Kathy at Rust Paper Scissors, and she tarnished these in a way to where they're black, and I love them. She does some that are rust, and then she did some that were black, and I don't even know if she's still doing them that way, but there was a time where she was doing some that were black, and I do love those. And then I did put a little piece of the metal in here that I can't remember. I've said in some of the flip throughs, I can't remember if these came from a old clock or old lamp. I can't remember, but I did put a piece of that metal in here. It would be pretty lined across a page, like the edge of a page, but again, I didn't want to take away from the look of the edges of the paper. It could be used there, or it could be used on the actual leather. However, I just didn't want to make that decision for someone. It depends on what way they want to go with the journal. And a coilless pen on a bunch of black lace. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it. Oh, and there's a black and white feather that my son found for me, and I love it, but it needed to be used here. It was just crying out to be used. So there it is, and thanks for watching this flip through. I'm going to move on to the next one. I will stop the video so that I can piece together the next flip through.